up today? It's Love. I'm back with another reaction video. Let me see if I'm recording. Let me see. Okay. Just making sure. Anyway, Southall train collision 22 years later. Is it supposed to be South or is it South? I don't know. Anyway, we reacted to it. Can we get at least one like on this video? At least one like. And can we get to 2,500 crew members? I believe we can do it. Do you believe we can do it? Because I believe we can do it. So without further ado, here we go. I love that game music. Old 80s game music. Ooh, bleach. Dot. Let's go. Oh, it's everywhere.
The Intercity 125, Britain's fastest diesel-powered high-speed train that ran from the 1970s to 2019. As the name suggests, it could hit 125 miles an hour rather easily.
And also a tour bus.
The Mark III coaches that make up the train were of a new design never seen before on British rail. But how would the train fare up to the ultimate test in a collision? September 19th, 1997.
I'm in the mood for a banana.
The 1032 high-speed train service left Swaznia, driven by James Tunnock. He had earlier driven the same train under head code 1B08 as the 7 o'clock Paddington to Swaznia service. He now drove in reverse formation as 1A47 to Cardiff Central, where he was to be relieved by Larry Hampson. The train was formed by Power Car 43173, 8 Mark III coaches, and Power Car 43163. The coaches in question were 2 first-class cars at the London end, H and G, followed by the Buffet coach, F, and 4 standard-class coaches, E, C, B, and A, at the rear. 212 passengers were on board.
There's a lot of passengers.
Further down the line, English, Welsh, and Scottish Railway freight train 6B17 is on its way to Southall Yard to drop off its empty hoppers, led by Hanson Class 59 locomotive 59.
That train is leaning. It looks like it's leaning, doesn't it? I mean, look at it.
The freight train was coming from London on a down relief line toward the north side and had been signaled to cross the main line at Southall East Junction on its way to Southall Yard on the south side. As the tracks straightened ahead of the high-speed train, the driver who was gathering his belongings saw the Class 59 moving at a funny angle and realized that it was actually crossing his path on the up line in front of him. The driver of the freight locomotive observed the approaching high-speed train and expected it to stop, but was alarmed at its speed and apparent brake application. He tried to accelerate his train out of the path of the high-speed train, but nothing could be done to prevent disaster.
Whoa! Go, Banana Man, go! Hey, this train survived. I mean, this car survived. Woohoo! We could save one, but not all. And this guy's like, man! We were only able to save one.
The trains collide at 1320. Power car 43173 sideswipes the hoppers, and the first coach falls onto its side, while the second collided head-on with the hopper, and both
went high,
causing the hopper
to
high
up in the sky.
Miss the first coach, while the second coach bent from the force like a piece of pasta.
That bent like a Twizzler.
6 people died instantly in the collision,
and that's when it
died
gets
in hospital later on. 139 sustained injuries, and 66 people were unhurt.
Well, at least it wasn't more
fatalities. The Health and Safety Commission found various factors led to the disaster. First off, the Intercity 125 set in question had 2 faults. The first fault, which was a largely matter of inconvenience, was that the driver-guard communication buzzer was not functioning correctly.
I know it really shouldn't be laughing about all this, but like, it's just the fact that he said that meant like a
was sounding
doodle.
Continuously,
I'm saying
but
it
in
meant like a
Power Car
Twizzler.
43-163, it was simply not operational. The result was that the guard could not give the driver 2 buzzes to signify that the train was ready to depart. Instead, the train had to proceed under the right-of-way system, whereby platform staff either illuminate an indicator for the driver to depart,
He's
or
trying to
pass
pick which
the
one is
guard's
his favorite
signal
car.
to the driver. This evidently
This
came
blue is
to
pretty
the
nice,
attention
but I
of
really like
staff
that
on Reading
red
Station,
right next to
the
it.
first stop, and a message was passed ahead so that all stations
He's also really trying to see
that
what
the
else is back
set
there.
would be stopping at were aware and could make the necessary arrangements to dispatch the train. The second fault was a lot more serious.
Break
The
demand,
automatic warning
temporary
system, or
isolation /
AWS,
fault, train
was
stop
faulty in
override,
Power Car
phallus,
43,
TPWS,
173.
brake application not initiated by
AWS
driver.
is a
Check the
system that was
TPWS
gradually
brake demand light.
introduced
If the brake
from
demand light is
about
illuminated,
1958.
do not move your train.
Nicknamed the
Report. I was
sunflower
reading!
dial by British rail engineers, drivers are presented with an audible
Like one
and
of them
visual
dartboards.
warning in advance of every signal on the line being traveled. In addition to equipment located in the
AWS
power
Sounder,
car,
AWS
the track has a
Sunflower.
ramp containing magnets
Hey, I was gonna read
located
what that third
200
one
yards
was,
in
man.
advance of each signal. As the train
Okay.
passes over the ramp, it receives a magnetic indication of the
lammy,
aspect of the
a
signal,
lamey,
which
a
activates
limey,
warnings in
a
the
loamy,
cab.
a loomy.
For a green aspect, a bell rings.
Me.
Any
What?
other signal aspect causes a horn to sound in the cab. An important part of the system is that the driver must acknowledge the horn by pressing and releasing a reset button in the cab.
Oh, that's
This
just common
also has
sense.
the effect of turning the visual indicator into a black and yellow sunflower pattern, hence the nickname. The most significant part of the warning system is that failure to acknowledge the horn results in automatic emergency brake application. It works kind of similar to cab signals in the United States and positive train control.
Temporary
In order to
restriction.
not have the brakes
Close
continuously
in the
locking
dark.
on, the system was
That's how you know
isolated.
it's
In other words,
serious.
disabled. It was
It
working
glows.
fine in Power Car 43-163, however. Driver Tunnock knew of both faults and reported them. Driver Harrison was also aware of the faults. However, he had not previously driven a high-speed train without AWS operational.
You can't
No
catch
attention had been
me!
given to the consequences
You
of
can't
driving
catch
with
me!
AWS isolated,
You can't
and
catch
neither
me!
driver Harrison nor any other Great Western driver had received any training or instruction on how to drive a 125 set without AWS. In 1997, there were different views within the railway industry as to whether AWS was merely an aid to driving, which would depend on the skill of the driver himself, or whether it should be regarded as an essential safety device. However, both drivers were qualified to drive without
Not paying
it, as
attention
both
to
power
this.
cars had the driver's safety device, or DSD, which requires the foot pedal to be kept depressed. The pedal was also fitted with the driver's vigilance
Oppressed.
device,
But what can make it
or
depressed?
DVD. This emits a warbling sound approximately every minute, which has to be cancelled by the driver releasing and depressing the pedal.
Hey,
Within
there's
seconds,
depressed. Aha!
in default of which there would be a
Awesome.
brake application.
Down like a
The
season.
DVD was working in both power cars. At the time of the crash, the junction was protected by 3 signals. The first signal,
It
was
stopped.
SN280, was set at double yellow. The next one, SN270, was at yellow, and the final one, SN254, was at red.
Can it
No
just be
relevant
stop, yield, and
fault
go?
was found to exist in both the track
You know,
and the
like
signals leading
other
up to the
vehicles
crash site,
that
as
don't
the
go into the
signals
air?
were all easily visible.
You
The
can WH10 and your
EWS
R
freight
and your
train
other
was
10.
proceeding across the up and down main
That's
lines
like a
under the
school,
control of the
or
signals
church,
as the high-speed
or
train
warehouse,
approached.
or something.
The high-speed train driver, Larry Harrison, failed to heed either of the warning signals, SN280 or 270, but he
Ooh,
did
you might
brake
mistake.
on seeing SN254 at red. But the trains were still traveling at relative speeds in excess of 80 miles an hour when the collision occurred.
Ding! Bye.
So, why did the driver react so late?
Because
Well, the driver, Larry Harrison,
coffee?
remembers saying
He didn't get his
that
coffee.
he was putting his items in his bag before the incident happened.
Are you
There was a
serious?
taped-recorded
I'm
conversation
sure
with him and a
that couldn't
signaler
have
at the
waited.
nearest trackside telephone. This was the conversation.
I'm okay, yeah. I was just putting my stuff away in the bag. The AWS had been isolated because some brake problem, I believe. So I had no AWS. So I put my stuff away in the bag, and the next thing I knew, I was coming up against Red, coming through Southall. Yeah, I was just putting my stuff away in the bag, like I would normally do. You see, right? And all of a sudden, I was whizzing through haze with a Red at Southall. Right. I see the slow train crossing over then.
He did not see the preceding signals.
Yeah,
Functioning automatic warning system would have given him an audible warning that he was running toward a signal at danger and needed to start slowing down. Failure to press the AWS cancellation button to acknowledge the warning would have also caused the emergency brakes to apply. Automatic train protection, or ATP, would have also certainly prevented the accident. The train was fitted with ATP, but this was switched off. The equipment, both at trackside and in the power car, were fully operational, but was not switched on because neither drivers were qualified to drive with ATP, including driver Harrison, who was the driver at the time of the wreck. The signalman was also unaware that the automatic warning system,
NWO.
which warns
Can you
drivers
just say
of
computer?
adverse signals, had been turned off in the cab of the 125, and had set a route
and whose house
to
is
stop
this?
the express and allow the freight train
Tell me that's
to
just a
cross
train
in front
station.
of
That
it.
looked like a house.
If he had known, he would
Or
have
an old
prevented
school
from setting a
1800s apartment or
conflicting
something.
group
I don't
under
know.
the
It looks
operational
not
rules
like a train
and
station.
allowed the express to proceed
How do I know?
and hold the freight
I don't.
instead.
I just assume.
The action of the signaler stopping the high-speed train to allow the slow freight to cross in front of it had been criticized. However, apparently this is standard procedure when regulating trains to minimize overall delay. There was no reason for the signaler to expect that the high-speed train would not stop at the red signal, protecting the crossover. At the time, there was no requirement for the signal to have been informed that the high-speed train was in service had its AWS isolated. The rule book, however, was altered to cover this.
That train moving so slow.
Following this accident
moving so slow,
and
I
the
want to
later
break down
Paddington collision on October 5th, 1999,
It was moving so slow, I was going to break into song.
Western required all its trains to have ATP switched on no matter what. If the equipment is faulty, the train is taken out of service. It emerged after the incident that the reset switch of the warning system had contamination on its electrical contact surfaces, which rendered its performance intermittent, hence its disabling at Oxford the day before the crash. Power car 43173, 2 passenger cars, and a couple hoppers were scrapped, while the rest were returned to service. 22 years have passed since the accident, and it's fair to say many important lessons were learned on that fateful day.
Under the sun. For 3 days. Okay, done. Alright, I'm glad I was not paying. I want to say I wasn't glad I'm not paying attention, but I really wasn't paying full attention to it because I was just having fun messing with trains, making sounds and all that whatnot. I don't know. I'm acting silly. Let me act silly. Anyway, thank you for watching this reaction. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe for more on my channel. Recommend me to some more videos you would like for me to react to. Ring that bell for notifications on upcoming videos. And until next time, I'm Sad Love, and I'll see you guys so